Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. The strawberry moon rises tonight, Tony. What's your favorite moon?
I'm Tony Kornheiser, the one I press against my front window when the UPS guy shows up. That's it.
No, don't do that. I thought you were going to
Really?
say, like me, that strawberry moon reminds me, it sounds like a Prince title.
No, I wasn't going to say that. I was first thinking about Warren Moon, of course. And then I thought about Randy Moss. Remember when Randy Moss did that thing by the goalpost? Remember that? That's a
didn't
famous
Jim
one.
McMahon do that even
boys and
earlier?
girls.
McMahon did that Super Bowl.
Probably. Today's episode, the Knicks and Jason Kidd, U.S. soccer beef, and Brian Windhorst joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Stanley Cup Final. The venue moved to Florida last night, and we had our first game that did not go into overtime. In fact, Florida routed Edmonton 6-1 to take a 2-1 lead in the series. Wilbon, yesterday we both said that neither team had established a decided advantage. What are you saying today?
Wow, it looks decided today if you can have a decided advantage at 2-1. But, Tony, it's because of the mood, not the score of the game. And the score of the game has something to do with it. But the Edmonton Oilers fell apart. They melted down. They played like petulant little children. They couldn't get their way, so we're going to scrum this up like a game in December. No. I mean, in a series, and they're all short, even a long series, still 4 out of 7. You get halfway through that series, another team gets an advantage on you that's a champion. This isn't like last year to me when Edmonton came back from 3-0 down to force a game 7. And we know the teams are fairly even, and most of us, I'm one of them, gives Edmonton an advantage in terms of talent and depth before a couple of injuries. It may have changed that. But they just I know what they said after the game. But to me, watching that entire game fairly intensely and annoyed at the end of it, they let Florida get underneath their skin completely, got rattled, and now they got to find some answers in a hurry.
So you can't really take 21 penalties, and you can't give up 3 power play goals. I mean, you can't do that. Okay. So I'm going to pretty much stick with my position from yesterday while admitting that 6-1 is a beatdown. And I'm going to point out to you that there is a Game 4 coming up, and that if you look at the playoff history of both of these teams, they tend, when beaten, to come back and win a game. Edmonton lost 2 games in a row only once in these playoffs to the Kings. Florida lost 2 games in a row only once in these playoffs. That was to Toronto. And so I'm not going to be surprised if Edmonton wins this game. But if they lose Game 4, then they're digging themselves a big hole. Not quite as big as what you mentioned, being down 3-0 and having to win 3 in a row to get to, a Game 7, but a big hole. They are still, even with this loss, Mike, they are still 6-4 on the road in these playoffs. So I think you'd be foolish to automatically count them out. And they had a freak thing happen last night in their playoff history, in that Draisaitl and McDavid did not score any points at all. That's bad for Edmonton. They're 2-11 in their playoff history when it happens. But the last time it happened twice in a row, Mike, if I have these notes correct, was 2021. It doesn't happen regularly, and if they score, obviously, they have a chance. So I'm more of the mind to think, okay, I like Edmonton's chances tonight, even though others might not. I do.
Tone, I don't disagree with you about the bounce back and all the reasons you just led up to. I'm just saying a meltdown is not good, because then your coaches got to deal with some things, or your captains and all that. They got to deal with some things on the off day they shouldn't have to be dealing with. They should just be countering Florida. And now they got some other stuff. So fascinating Game 4 situation coming up. Let's move to the NBA. Our own Brian Windhorst reports the Knicks and Jason Kidd share a mutual intrigue about the Knicks head opening at coach. Kidd is currently in that same role in Dallas, of course, and the Mavs would need to grant permission for the Knicks to speak with him. Tony, if you're Jay Kidd, would you want to leave the Mavericks and presumed number 1 pick Cooper Flagg for your New York Knicks?
Okay, so that's a 2-part question. The first part is, if I am Jason Kidd, I am leery about staying in Dallas right now. The owner that I came in to work for, Mark Cuban, is not the owner anymore. There are new owners now of that team. Right. I believe that the general manager, Nico Harrison, will be fired, and I believe he should be fired for the Luka Doncic trade. And even though you and I are sort of inclined to believe that the lottery was fixed, so that Dallas could get
Yes,
Cooper
we
Flag.
are.
I'm not sure that I want to stay if I'm Jason Kidd. But the other part of that is, do I want to go to the Knicks? I mean, let's look at Jim Dolan. Let's look at what happens with coaches who go to the New York Knicks. They've had something like 9 different head coaches in 22 or 23 years. They're working on their 10th. So the shelf life of a coach in New York is very short. Do I want to look? They just fired a guy who went to the conference finals for the first time in over 20 years. Who does that? Is that what you want to get involved with?
Tony, this is a dilemma. This is a legit dilemma. And I thought of you as this story began to percolate, because going back, you were very early on when Jay Kidd was in college. You were fascinated with Jay Kidd. You always loved the way he saw the game, approaching. I know you have. And as a coach, yes. And so I thought of you, and I'm like, aha, Tony will jump on this and love for Jason Kidd to go to New York. But it is a dilemma. You're right about it. It's tough. He doesn't know these new owners, Tony, who have a reputation of not, so far, if any reputation, is not communicating with anybody. And if you're Jay Kidd, you're like, what am I doing here? I don't know if Kyrie is going to be healthy enough to come back or even contractually will come back. I don't know what that is. Anthony Davis, a great player. We don't know how much of the percentage of time he's going to be out there. Is Cooper Flag ready to contribute and contribute right away? And the New York Knicks want to win now. And maybe that's the intrigue, Tone. They're going to be involved with Kevin Durant, I think, more than Giannis.
And Giannis. Well,
yeah.
He coached Jalen Brunson. He coached him for a few years. I understand the draw there. But this is important to say. We've gone over this a lot. This is New York. This is bright lights, big city. This is splashy. They're not coming back with the exact same roster. They want something bigger and better because they think they're close. They could trade Karl Anthony Towns to get what they want. So
I expect that.
There's hesitation on both sides. We move now to soccer. Yeah. I love this story. Apparent beef between Christian Pulisic's dad and all-time U.S. great Landon Donovan. Donovan was on TV the other day marveling at Cristiano Ronaldo's great play for Portugal against Spain, and Donovan said, quote, "This is what it means to represent your country. And I can't help but think of some of our guys who are on vacation right now, not wanting to play the Gold Cup. It pisses me off," unquote. Christian Pulisic is on vacation right now, not playing for the U.S. in the Gold Cup for what he says is injury recovery. And his dad came back at Donovan using artificial intelligence to say Donovan had taken a sabbatical from the U.S. team in 2012 and 2013, citing burnout. Wilbon, whose side are you on in this one, Donovan's or Pulisic's?
This is hard for me, too. First of all, artificial intelligence has nothing to do with it. He took a break. That's fact. You don't need AI. Donovan did not play. Now, the other thing is half the U.S. team is not playing in the Gold Cup. Half the team, the guys that you expect to see in the red, white, and blue next summer in the World Cup, they're not playing in the Gold Cup. So, I'm more with, the more I think about it, I'm sort of with Pulisic's dad. I'm also a dad. And I get it. If somebody took a shot and I perceived it at my kid, I would come roaring back too. But Tony, the team is in a funk already. They've lost 3 straight games. I don't know where they go from here. And I'm not willing to blame it all on Christian Pulisic, but he better be a big boy. He's the star of the team. He makes a ton of money internationally. He's in the crosshairs. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
So I'm on the side against artificial intelligence making an argument. I think if you have to go to a robot to decide how you think, that's no good. Christian Pulisic's dad, not Christian Pulisic, Christian Pulisic's dad was incredibly mean and nasty to Donovan. I mean, if you read that stuff, you go, whoa. Yeah. So we are in an era now of dads making news. We got Christian Pulisic's dad. We got Tyrese Halliburton's dad. Happy Father's Day to both of them. I don't know much about Christian Pulisic. I'm not a soccer guy, but I know he's supposed to be great, except not everybody says he's great. Like Alexi Lalas once very derisively called him Wonder Boy. I don't know his vacation schedule either. I don't know if he's on vacation or whatever, but I do understand if former players like Landon Donovan and who's the other guy who was down there, Clint Dempsey, if they were chagrined that the American players were taking all this time off. Just remind me, Mike, because I'm not a soccer guy, how many World Cups have we won with Christian Pulisic? Oh, that's right. We haven't won any.
How many we went with Donovan and Clint Dempsey, and how many we went with those guys? Alexi Lalas.
None.
How many you win?
Because here is my point. None. because we are still 10 years away from being 10 years away. That's who we are.
Be careful. You're going to get yourself in trouble with the soccer purists. They're going to come after PTI. Oh.
Coming up, how will the Pacers try to get Tyrese Halliburton back on track against the Thunder? We'll ask Brian Windhorst, not his dad. Don't worry.
We'll also ask him what he's hearing about any potential trades involving big stars in basketball. And we don't win anything. We're 20 years from being 10 years away.
We are a co-host of the World Cup. You know how you stop all the criticism? Win it. Game 3 of the NBA Finals isn't until tomorrow night, but we've got questions today for our great friend, ESPN senior writer and the host of the Hoop Collective podcast, which I have seen, Mr. Brian Windhorst. Let's start with this Game 3 tomorrow in Indianapolis. You're in Indianapolis. Tyrese Halliburton did Tyrese Halliburton things in Game 1, but not in Game 2. Do you see that as an off night or as a product of how he was specifically defended?
It's been an off 2 years for him against the Thunder. If you go back and look, Tony, at the last 2 years, that's 6 games. Two games last year, 2 games in the regular season this year, 2 games in this series. Halliburton can't get it done against him. He really has difficulty getting into the lane, getting in transition. You can tell in his shots, he only averages 11 shots. Those 6 games, that's a pretty big sample size. Just 11 shots. He can't get into his normal rhythm. And the other thing is, he is being bothered by some sort of minor lower leg thing. You know, he doesn't want to talk about it. Rick Carlisle said he's in some discomfort. Maybe it's inhibiting him 5-10%, but you just can't have that against the Thunder. The big thing for him is the number of shots. It's not like that for everybody, and I know that the Pacers have a democratic offense, but when he scores over 20 points, they're 7-1 in the playoffs. He also averages 11 assists in those games. So when he's getting shots, they're working. He's not getting the shots. It's because the Thunder are so good at keeping him out of the lane, and I don't see an antidote that's going to change that.
Let's go to antidote for a second. Rick Carlisle has been wizard-like throughout the regular season starting in January and through these playoffs, as you know, Brian, in terms of just giving his guys, or maybe a guy on a night, an advantage. Anything that you see or people talking about there that might unlock Halliburton necessarily against that OKC defense?
So the one thing the Pacers are so good at, and Carlisle game plans so well, is finding matchup advantages. They hunted the matchup advantages that they saw that they had against the Bucks. They destroyed the Cavs' smaller perimeter, getting Halliburton and their other perimeter players in good matchups. And you saw what they did to Jalen Brunson and Karl Towns. But there's no weak links on this Thunder defense. And that's not an insult to Carlisle or the Pacers. That's just because this is how the Thunder are built. And they have a hard time hunting those matchup problems. And not only that, they're playing a specific way against Pascal Siakam. They're just roughing him up. It has been their game plan all year long to rough up guys and let the chips fall where they may with the officials. The officials are allowing playoff contact. They're getting away with it, and it's slowing Siakam down too. Siakam can't get his shot numbers up. It's why beating the Thunder 4 out of 7 times, and now you're talking about beating him 3 more out of 5 is so difficult.
Well, we're all waiting for Game 3 in Indianapolis in the finals. There's so much stuff going on. Chatter, Brian, I know you're in the center of reporting and listening to this and being interested in it. The mutual interest that we believe exists between Jay Kidd and the Knicks. Where is that now? Has it advanced? When do we expect those two to talk if we do?
Yeah, so I believe that Jason Kidd is the Knicks' focus. He's the guy that they want to make their next head coach. But obviously he's under contract with the Mavericks. And I would say, and you guys know this, when you have a player like Jason or a coach like Jason Kidd, you don't request permission to interview him. You're not bringing him in and asking him his philosophy when they're down 3 points or whatever. You're asking permission to hire him. So don't pay so much attention to the permission. What it will come down to is whether the Mavericks are willing to let Jason Kidd go. So as I see it, the ball's in the Mavericks court now. They are aware of the Knicks' interest, and they have one of 3 choices. Number one, they can just tell the Knicks, no, we're not interested in losing him. We're not interested in doing business with you. Good luck to you. They can make sure Jason Kidd doesn't want to go to New York, which the way to do that is typically with a new contract. They just gave him one last year, but a lot has changed on the Mavericks since he got that contract. Or they can trade him there. And we have seen 3 or 4 coaches get traded over the last couple of decades, including Jason Kidd back in 2014, got traded from the Bucks or from the Nets to the Bucks. And let me tell you, they didn't ask for permission on that one until it was already a done deal. They gave him 2 second-round picks. So that's what the Mavericks have to do. They have to work through this with Kidd, and they are the ones who are going to make the next move in this process.
All right, let me get you out of here on this. And we're talking about things not necessarily about the NBA Finals now, but more peripheral things. Are you hearing anything new regarding big names who may be on the move? Specifically Giannis, specifically Kevin Durant, or anyone else?
Yeah, let's talk about Giannis right away. Okay. We are now in the beginning or the middle almost of June. Giannis Antetokounmpo is overseas. I believe he is in Brazil. He has not asked the Bucks for a trade. Right now, as far as I am aware, there are no plans for a meeting with the Bucks to ask for a trade. The Bucks are not intending on trading him. They want him to return. They want to put their team back together and try to make another run next year. So right now, Giannis is not going to be on the trade market. And I think we're headed for a draft situation where he is not a part of that. Will that stay the same? Let's check back. Let's see what the Bucks do with their roster. Let's see where Giannis is at in July and August. But I don't think you're going to see Giannis traded in the short-term future as far as I can see. Don't feel that way about Kevin Durant. The Suns are still doing business. They just introduced their new head coach, Jordan Knott, this afternoon. I expect them to move on to looking at the Kevin Durant trade market. The key thing with Durant is this. He has 1 year left on his contract, guys, which means if you are going to trade for him, he is probably going to want to sign an extension. And that means he's going to want to participate in the process. The Suns do not have to do that. They can trade him wherever, but it is more likely a team will give up more to get him if they think he's more than a rental. And to become more than a rental, he needs to be involved in the process. There's a handful of teams that I think have interest. The Knicks are one of them, but there's a handful of teams that I think will have interest, and we'll see how that plays out probably over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Brian, as always. Enjoy the game.
Brian, appreciate you, man.
Thanks, guys.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, some big names in the NFL are missing from mandatory mini camps.
And A's outfielder Denzel Clark makes one of the greatest catches anybody has ever.
Happy time, people. Happy 69th birthday tomorrow, Joe Montana. Quite simply, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, maybe the best. Okay, you will say, well, Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls and Montana only won 4. But Montana won every Super Bowl he was in, and Brady lost a few. Like Brady, who was ignored in the draft for 5+ rounds, Montana wasn't drafted until the 3rd round in 1979, coming out of Notre Dame with a national championship. Montana had an enormous impact in San Francisco under Bill Walsh. Montana to Rice, Montana to Clark, Montana to Taylor. I would be very comfortable listing Montana, Brady, and Unitas as the best quarterbacks ever. And you know what round Unitas was drafted in? The 9th.
Tony is having an discussion with my brother Don this weekend, in which I said, Tom Brady's the GOAT. I don't have any argument against it, but Tom Brady never brought me out of my seat with a play. Joe Montana did it regularly. I'm just saying Montana visually, and if I wanted to pay to see a man play the position of quarterback, I'm going with Joe Montana and John Elway. Bring you out of your seat like nobody else ever did to me.
Not so happy anniversary, Torrey Hunter. On this day 10 years ago, in his 19th and final season, the 9-time Gold Glove outfielder objected so much to a called third strike that he proceeded to strip off all his equipment. Elbow guard, gloves, helmet, including his jersey in protest. It's a great video. Hunter, now 49, joined the Angels front office as a special assistant to the GM, a position he held with the Twins for about 6 years. Hunter was a 5-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger. He hasn't made a dent in the Hall of Fame voting and will likely get a last chance next year. Hall of Famer Wilbon.
Well, his Hall of Fame monitor comps are 2 of them are Dwight Evans and Dave Parker. Parker's in, Evans should be. So I lean toward that. And the Twins need to go back to those uniforms. Those are great classic uniforms.
Happy trails to a home run for Nolan Schanuel. The Angels' first baseman appeared to hit his 4th home run of the season in the first inning last night, but A's rookie center fielder Denzel Clark scaled the wall and stretched to make a completely improbable catch. Look at the slack-jawed reactions from pitcher Grant Holman and Shanuel himself. Clark's manager Mark Kotze said, quote, "I asked our bench coach Darren Bush if he'd fallen over the fence, how would they have ruled that? That's about as far over a fence as you can get without going over," unquote. Clark made a similar but less spectacular catch against Toronto just last month.
He had another catch, a third one where he runs and bounces off a wall, which we're not even having there. This guy's the greatest in the game right now. He has to be, defensively.
He's a rookie. He's the greatest as a rookie? The greatest?
Wow.
Really? All right,
right now,
finish. Here we go.
Nobody better.
Dion has been out of the office with an unspecified health issue. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Dion and I share some health issues. I don't know if this is one of those, but whatever it is, all the best, absolutely, to Deion Sanders. TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, and Terry McLaurin all missed the first day of mandatory minicamp. What's the biggest deal, Tone?
They're all incredibly valuable. They're going to get money. They have to. Scotty Scheffler is paired with Colin Morikawa and Victor Hovland to start the U.S. Open. You like that?
You know I have a favorite in that group, Mr. Morikawa. I'm rooting for TJ Oshie of the Capitals, retired after 16 seasons. How are you going to remember his career?
I remember the shootout goals he had in the Olympics, and I'll remember that he won a cup with the Capitals. Last one, Yankee starter Max Fried tries to go to 9-1 when he faces the Royals tonight. Do you like his chances?
Yeah, 8-1, 178. I do like his chances, Tom.
We are out of time. We will try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Tony, we lost Sly Stone over the last few days.
Everyday People is such a great song.
Me and Mike with our PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon. Biggest NFL no-show today. TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin.
Tony, they're all three big stories. The fact that they are no-shows. Just a couple of notes. I mean, TJ Watt, 11.5 sacks last year, second team all-defense, all-pro. Think that's a good deal? How about 2 years ago when he went 19 sacks, runner-up defensive player of the year, first team all-pro? And then Hendrickson, 35 sacks the last 2 seasons on a pathetic Bengals defense that needs him. And Terry McLaurin, I mean, he's the number one weapon, caught 13 touchdowns last year from Jason Daniel. I mean, to me, all three of these guys have got to get paid. They got some leverage over their teams. Hendrickson seems to be the guy that the team would most let go of. I pray for it every day that he's going to move just a little west to Chicago where the Bears could use him. But all three, big stories.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with a word of that. I mean, I can't distinguish among them. Each one is incredibly important. What is Pittsburgh known for overall? Known for defense. TJ Watt has been, he's led the league in sacks 3 different times. You can't let him go. You're right about what is Cincinnati known for. They're known for offense. They have a terrible defense except this guy. Yeah, who is the only thing they've got on defense. Yeah. What is Washington known for? For being lousy for about 15 to 20 years. And then they strike oil. They get Jaden Daniels. And who is his number one target? His number one target is Terry McLaurin. I mean, if you want to talk about who's got teams over a barrel, all 3 of these guys have teams over a barrel. And it's sort of foolish to say which one is the biggest no-show, because it's a group. They're all hitting the finish line together, all of them.
I would bet 2 of them are going to sign fairly quickly, TJ Watt and McLaurin. And maybe I am just hoping, because I'm hoping the third guy doesn't sign. A 25th ranked defense, you're going to let him walk or trade? You can't let him walk. Trade him? Really? That's it. We're done. Back to you.